Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.
All right, I'm down here at the South West Indoor Motorshow, and I'm here with Storn from
Bindoon Mobile Recovery Campaign. So that's what we're called.
Hey Storn, thanks for joining us anyway on the podcast. It's great to have you here and on 88.5 FM. Tell us briefly a little bit about yourself and what you actually do here. You're here with Debbie. We're down here in Busselton today. So tell us about what you're here for and what you're doing.
Well, for me, it's a bit of a long story. Basically, I was abused as a kid. Through that abuse, I ended up with chronic depression, anxiety, and I was just full of fear. At school, I was just terrified of girls. I felt separated from everybody, lonely, cut off. I just felt that I was different. Also, in amongst that depression that I had, what I didn't know was that I had the disease of alcoholism. So I was basically an alcoholic that had smouldering ashes in his guts and just waiting for the first beer to go on top of that, and then there would have just been an explosion, which happened in my teenage years. So I drank alcohol, which is a depressant, on top of depression. It gave me a feeling of euphoria. I used to work hard, play hard, and drink hard. And when I drank, it gave me what I considered back then some peace of mind. It stopped my mind from racing. My mind was 10,000 miles an hour. I knew there was something wrong with me. I didn't know what it was. It was alcoholism and depression. So it's taken me my lifetime to sort through it all. Cut a long story short, I ended up in Alcoholics Anonymous at age 32. I had a gun and there's 3 guys I wanted to shoot, which is resentment. Resentment's the number one killer of alcoholics. I had peripheral neuritis, I was in the horrors, I had delirium tremors, had a memory span of 2 seconds, and I used to look at my beer, I'd give myself paralysis through analysis and trying to work out what was wrong with me, and I'd be looking at it. It was, I just couldn't see it. A bloke stepped into my life, he could see I was in trouble, and he carried the message of Alcoholics Anonymous to me, which saved my life. And that night, the guy took me to my first meeting in South Perth, August the 20th, 1984. So I've been sober since that very first meeting. I walked into that meeting in that state and left that room that night and haven't had a drink since, and that's about 37 years now. So I've run an AA meeting. I carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous to alcoholics. With my campaign here, we deal with alcoholism, drug addiction. I've got quite a few guys into Tenacious House, which is a rehab for young fellas that are on methamphetamine. So we're on the street here dealing with depression, suicide, drugs, and we're linked in with dads in distress, guys that have been smashed in the family law court. So we've got a ton of information here to help these guys and to get them in the right direction, because most of them are lost, so they don't know where to start. So we give them a kickstart.
That's what I was about to say. Like, for those that are listening to us on the radio or on the podcast, you can go back and watch this on YouTube. But one of the things that I know, you've been doing this a long time now, because I see you out on the streets in Bindoon. I drive past you all the time. You probably don't know. You don't know me, or you would have spoken with that many people. But I know you really do campaign out in the streets there, and you've got quite a setup. Tell us a bit about this setup now, because you've built on it. You've got some pretty, elaborate vehicles here, and the information you carry around. Tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah, well, basically, when I kicked off, the thoughts were put in my head from up there. I believe in a higher power, and he said, "This is what I want you to do." And originally, I had the green car over there, which is a really nice Commodore V8, and he put the thoughts in my head that he wanted me to put that down the side of them. Yep. And I looked up and I remember saying, "Mate, you got to be kidding." I said, "That's me Commodore." I said, "That's going to ruin it, And I just stood there, And then about 10 minutes later, the thoughts were put in my head. This is what he put in my head. He said, listen, pal. And that's how he talks to me, because I'm a bit rough. He said, listen, pal, when you were born, you come in with nothing. He said, everything you got belongs to me. It's only on loan to you while you're here alive on this planet. And when I call you out, not one bit of it's coming with you. And that just smacked me in the head like a stunned mullet. Yeah. And I went, well, the car's not mine. Yeah. So he's asking me to step out and do this and get on the streets. Yeah. So I just went, well, this is like a world first, to put about suicide in your face. So I just went ahead and did it. Fixed up a little old trailer I had. It was half as big as these ones. And I drove down the street and I parked in a car park. And within 10 minutes I was swamped with people looking for help. And since then it's just got bigger and bigger. The world is full of hurting people, and people are looking for the truth. They're looking for a way up and a way out. And with this here, I deal with the spiritual aspect, the mental aspect, and the physical aspect of depression. But just getting with the cars, so we got that car there, and we had a little trailer, and then I helped the lady out of the black hole of suicide. She was so grateful that she donated $20,000 to me. So we put that in the BMRC bank account. And then we accessed in Allenbrook there, through Christian Porter, we accessed a funding grant that was going. And they said that if someone had 20 grand, that they would match it. And we had 20 grand, so we got the grant, and that bought the second car, and I'd already had the second trailer built. So now we've got 2 cars and 2 trailers on the street, and I've got another guy that operates the other one. Yeah. So one can go an event that way, and one can go that way. So yeah, so it's about I'm at the coalface with this. I'm dealing with the hard shots that come my way, but if anyone comes up to me that's suicidal, I can handle it because I've lived it. So yeah, that green car there, after my second marriage failed, at age 60, I still didn't know that I had depression. At age 60, I fought it all my life, like the black dog sitting in the cage there. That mongrel was attacking me between the left ear and the right ear all my life, trying to tear me to bits to stop me from doing this. I can see it now and I understand it now, but at the time I couldn't. Well, I couldn't understand why everything was stripped away from me. I worked hard, I tried to do the right thing, and I just got gutted. I had these women gut me, especially the last one. She done a real job. And then my depression, which I didn't know that I had, turned into suicide. And I went over the edge and down in the black hole of suicide. It's a real place, and I could be sitting here and I was in that place, and there was no one there with me, and everything was black. And I was suicidal for 5 months, and I had no one to turn to because I didn't know anyone that would understand where I was at to help me out of there. And I went out there in the green car at 3 o'clock in the morning and wound it up to 211k an hour, no seatbelt on. And I was going into the tree, and a bloke upstairs says, pull it out. So I pulled it out of the gravel, got it back on the bitumen. And then from that point on, set up a chain reaction. I listened to what he was saying to me. My conscience is a voice of God. So he speaks to me in my mind. There's no voice. He just puts thoughts in your head. Yep. Or he speaks to me through my guts. So I listen to that. And that's all I have to listen to and follow it, no matter what. No matter what he says, do it. And that's what I do. He knows that I'm prepared to put the action in to do it, and here it is. Here's the action. So action is the magic word. So we've had it going about 7 or 8 years now, and I've lost count of the amount of people that we've turned around, got them into drug rehabs, Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm heading back into Bullsbrook on Sunday tomorrow. I'm picking up an alcoholic that came to my house 4 nights ago. His wife just threw him out. He did the questionnaire. He got 11 out of 12 yeses, so I'm picking him up, taking him to an AA meeting in Midland Sunday night. I'm also meeting another lady there that was in a rehab 2 weeks ago in hospital. talk to them, share my story, my experience, my strength and my hope with these people that are hurting. The back window of that car over there, you can see all the names on the back of it. There's 300 to 400 names on there, and they're all suicides.
Yeah.
And that's where the mum and dad have stood here like you're talking to me now, and they've told me of their son or their daughter. So we deem the windows on the back of these cars like a bit of a shrine and a mark of respect to these really beautiful people. And they are. They're usually gentle souls. Then this world just dials in stuff they can't cope with, you know. And there's a lot of stuff in our society. Our society has a lot to answer for. Has a bloody lot to answer for. It really does. And the powers to be don't really give a shit about this. They go on about this COVID, and they're chucking money in at that left, right, and centre. And that's all about getting control over the little guy. Why don't they do something about this? You know, you've got, last year 3,200 Australians committed suicide. You've got 3 dads a day commit suicide because of child support family law court. Why don't they do something about that? You know, and there's so much they could do in this area, but they won't.
Storn and Debbie, look, I must say, the job that you guys are doing out there on the streets of regional Western Australia is a magnificent one, and I take my hat off to you, and I just wish you all the very best for the future, and the work that you're doing is really commendable. And look, Bindoon Mobile Recovery Campaign, where can they find information about that online?
Debbie,
Facebook page?
Yeah, just go onto Facebook or just click in. One lady, she was trying to get hold of me about 3 weeks ago. She didn't know how to get hold of me, and I was driving down the highway, and she saw the car, right? And we were in Bullsbrook, so she just dialed in suicide car, Bullsbrook, and BMRC came up. And then she was able to give us a ring about her son, and we had a chat to her. So Facebook is the way to go. We'll just dial in Bindoon Mobile Recovery Campaign, or just even suicide car, and it'll bring our phone numbers and stuff up. So
All right, guys. Well, look, thanks for your time on the podcast and on 88.5 FM today. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure I'm sure Peter will be catching up with you shortly as well to have a much more lengthier discussion. Anyway, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Talk and Power, your motorsport and motoring radio show. Now on 88.5 FM, The Valley Comes Alive. And podcasting across iTunes and talkandpower.com.au.